So what I wanted to do was pop in here for a brief second and talk to you about how to determine good markets that you should really spend your time focusing your efforts in. If you're interested in knowing how to do this, then you definitely want to stay tuned. REI Geek Swagg, it's your time to get it back. How do you go out and find and determine the thriving zip codes in your own backyard? There are some factors to help you determine if you're even spending your time efficiently marketing to those sellers in that specific market. And so one of the things that you want to look at is the population of the market. Generally, you want to be spending your time building a real wholesale business with a population market size of at least 200,000 or more, ladies and gentlemen. What's going to happen is there's going to be enough activity, enough jobs in the area to help support that economy. If I'm marketing or spending my marketing dollars in rural or industrial areas, there's not gonna be too much of any sales activity going on. You gotta question, is it worthy of me spending my time to create a business marketing to these sellers in this specific area? If you don't have any sales activity, it's gonna be hard to determine the actual values of that home. A lot of these rural and industrial areas have submarkets, right, that don't have any sales activity within the past year. How are you to determine what to offer that seller and you don't have the proper data? Also, a lot of buyers do not want to take on properties themselves that they may have a hard time liquidating in the future whenever they decide to liquidate. So if there isn't any sales activity in that market, a lot of times you're not going to have a lot of stable buyers in that market. You may find some buyers, but they're going to be local. And these are going to be people that are going to be more so interested in buying a property like that and holding it for the long term. Okay, so you definitely want to be in metropolitan statistical areas, MSAs, of populations of 200,000 or more. The second metric that we really should be honing in on is jobs, ladies and gentlemen. Where the jobs flow, that's where the money goes, right? And so you want to pay attention to city, county officials, making sure that they're always working with each other and not feuding with each other to figure out how they can bring more jobs into the market, to figure out how they can create more jobs in the market, to figure out if they're offering bonus incentives for companies, small business owners to come and open up shop in these specific markets, right? And so that's very easily determined just by running a simple Google search in that specific market that you're in, and you'll be able to determine a lot, okay? That is metric number 2. And so we discussed number 1, the metric was population that we want to understand going into that market so that way we can create longevity, right? Number 2 was jobs, understanding the job flow in that market. Where job goes, that's where the money flows at the end of the day, right? And so we want to make sure that more jobs are coming into the market than leaving. Third, housing value. Have housing values increased at least 30% within the past maybe 10, 15, 20 years? That data you can easily find using city-data.com. That's city-data.com. You can find this metric, right? So if housing values have increased at least 30%, then that may be a market that you can use as a good market to spend your time in, right? Okay, last but not least, we got Fore. Fore this is when you want to just get deep down and into the market after you've ran all of these criteria searches already to determine what market you want to be in. Now that you understand the market that you want to be in, and of course, now you also know the zip codes you need to spend your time in those markets. Let's just say that you're planning for the future. You want to know what's going to happen in certain areas in the market. Well, you can get access to what we call a city master plan, and most jurisdictions have it. All you got to do is get in contact with your local city officials and just ask them, is there a 5-year or 10-year city master plan that you can have access to? What you're going to find in this city, this 10-year master plan or even 5-year master plan, is all the plans the city has for the city itself, whether new developments are going to be happening happen in our certain side of towns in certain times, say like 2 years from now. And one way to do that is determine where are all the new building permits being pulled, right? So you'll notice an area where a lot of building permits have been pulled, but they don't start the projects until 2-3 years on down the line. Now that gives you a jump and a look ahead of everyone else. Trust me, no one else is doing this in your market. And the only reason why I learned how to do it because I play in the commercial space too. And this is one of the things that you have to do in the commercial space, but it is very so relevant in the residential space, but many people don't take this extra step to put themselves in a position to win big. And so I just share with you exactly how now you can start to put your marketing dollars in these areas that are going to be developed out. So you're getting in what we call an emerging market inside of your own submarket. Emerging market is where you're there at the bottom, and now this market is going to transition into a much higher value submarket in your own backyard. Most wholesalers, most real estate teachers only focus on the residential space. I've been very fortunate enough to do residential as well as commercial multifamily as well, which helps you broaden your horizons. Of course, also your education too. And so guys, hopefully today was very fruitful for you. It was very fruitful for me teaching this to you guys, and I get just as much out of it as some of you guys may get out of it. So if you have any questions or comments, inquiries, of course, leave them down below in the comments. Feel free to follow me at REI Geek Swagg on IG. Talk to you sooner than later. REI Geek Swagg is your